Hello and welcome to Barnstable Today. Last week, the Barnstable Town Council met and heard an agenda report from Dan Wood, the Information Systems Director, regarding the Barnstable Fiber Optic Network. Dan Wood was introduced by Acting Town Manager Tom Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the viewers at home, and I just want to read the definition of what the Barnstable Fiber Optic Network, or the INET, means. And INET stands for Institutional Network. An institutional network is a closed, private network. The only traffic on the INET is what is generated or received by the participants of the network. There is no competition for bandwidth from anyone that is not a participant on the INET. This has been a process that has been ongoing for the past 6 years, which our IT director will explain to you. We've expended about $600,000 on this process so far. There's a true value to this, which is related to the connectivity, and I believe that when Dr. Mary got up to, explain kind of how Channel 22 had advanced, she made her arguments that she was going to present late at this point in time around how that connectivity is going to help the schools and participate in this process, and I thought she made some excellent points. There are others here tonight that are going to be a part of this closed network that would also like to testify. So I think that after Dan gets finished with his presentation, talks about the cost-effective natures of it and just what it all means. There may be a few other folks who would like to speak also, but I would like to, in addition to thanking Dan for his hard work in putting this together, also thank Mark Milne, who has participated with us on this project. Thank you.
So with that, we have Dan Wood, who's the Director of Information Technology.
Good evening, councilors. This is a very important project for both the schools and the town sites. I'm going to run you through a brief presentation, but basically this is Mary's fire hydrant that she referred to. So, Tom briefly touched on what an INET is, and we also are calling this the Barnstable Fiber Optic Network, BFON. So if you refer to it either way, it means the same thing. Basically, an INET is a separate closed-loop network for municipal institutional use only, used to connect police, fire departments, town or city halls, and schools, and can contain both video, data, and also to be used to monitor heat, light, and security cameras. What we're connecting is 48 different sites. That's a lot. All school buildings, all town buildings, all fire departments, water companies except Katuitt Water, libraries except Centerville, community buildings except Centerville, and we're also going to the former county communication facility that's now leased by Open Cape, so we'll have a connection there as well. And at the end, we can explain the Centerville issues. The background of this is back in 1998, 1999, under then town manager James Tinsley. It was decided that instead of having Media One build an INET, which is sometimes common in the older days, that the cable company would actually build you an INET, but they would retain ownership of it. We decided that we would actually bank the franchise fees until we had enough money to do our own, and then we would own that infrastructure. It wouldn't be part of negotiations. We could do anything we wanted to it, upgrade it, and so forth. In 2006, the town had enough funds saved to begin the INET project. One of the issues we have here in Barnstable is we did not have pole rights, as some other cities and towns do. A lot of other cities and towns, or a fair amount of other cities and towns, actually in their pole permits from the early 1900s had a clause in there that said, we get to have this space on the pole as a municipality. Barnstable did not have that, and we went all the way back through the pole permit records. So we had to actually go out and license a municipal section of each pole, and that's 1,700 poles. That process meant we actually walked to every single pole of those 1,700, measured each utility's wire, Verizon, Comcast, NSTAR, and then had to argue with the utilities about whether it was their issue of being out of compliance or if it was something we had to pay for them to make space for our cable to go on. That took quite a while. That also led to what we call make-ready charges, where the utilities actually charge us for certain poles that need to have space opened up, and in some cases actually charge us for the actual new pole to go in if the pole wasn't tall enough to fit us. So when Tom mentioned we've already spent about $600,000 on the project, that is the process that used up those funds to do that, to make the poles ready for us. I say some cities and towns negotiate iNets into the cable contract. Well, like I said, Media One gave us that opportunity, but we decided to go out on our own. Many cities and towns already have their iNets. We're kind of behind the game on that one. Here are some Cape area towns that have iNets. You'll see quite a few of them do. Important to note here that Falmouth and Plymouth actually, it was important enough for them that they actually had capital projects to do their iNets. Here's a sampling of other towns and cities that have already built their own iNets, just trying to give you an idea that it's a pretty crucial thing for a municipality or a city to do. Okay, so our current status, we finally now have all the licenses for the poles involved, all 1,700, approximately 1,700 poles. We're ready to award the contract. Fiber currently has a 10 to 15-week lead time once we've awarded it. Funding for the iNet is one of the specified approved uses of the cable franchise fees. The current inter-building connectivity, which is really what we need to upgrade and will be upgrading with this project. Except for Town Hall and the high school, there are currently there is no ability to originate video, live video from any other building. So if we wanted to do a live broadcast from any other site other than the high school or here, we couldn't do that right now. This will give us the ability to originate video from any of those 48 sites, should we need to. 12 of the town and school buildings use Comcast Internet for inter-building connectivity. Comcast connections do not provide sufficient bandwidth for what we're doing, and they also have a monthly recurring charge, and we pay about $16,000 a year for those connections. 11 town and school buildings use wireless connections for their inter-building connectivity. We've had wireless for probably 7 or 8 years, and it's been fantastic, no reoccurring costs. But as of about a year ago, the airwaves began to get very, very crowded, and we end up with interference and bad connections and so forth. We end up having, as I say on the bottom, we end up having to change the frequency sometimes 3 or 4 times a week just to keep the link going. Higher speed connectivity solution is desperately needed. Okay, if we look at alternatives to what we're doing, if we just look at the 23 town and school sites alone, never mind the fire departments and libraries and so forth, you can get commercial service that's available for a speed of 100 megabits. Now, basically, nowadays, that's the bottom line of the speed area. The cost for that, for a point-to-point connection for those 23 sites, is $3,000 per month per site. 23 sites times 3,000 gives you $69,000 a month for costs. A total of $828,000 a year. If we were to actually take this route, within 3 years, we've already would have spent what we're now going to spend on the BFON project. And BFON is 10 to 100 times faster than what we could get through the commercial, available through commercial solutions. And then, as I say here, and I say this throughout the whole project quite a bit here, the life of the fiber network is 35 years, probably more. It'll be here long after we're gone, and the return on investment will be there many times over. Oh, the other point here is, too, with a commercial solution, we wouldn't be able to transmit quality live video. The benefits of the iNet are many. I could have gone on for pages here, and I'm not going to read all the ones here, but I'm going to just hit the top 4. Again, 35-year lifespan for the town, and the fiber manufacturer for the warranty for the fiber is actually 25 years. The ability to broadcast live from any participating site. This is a key thing here. The fiber will never need to be upgraded during its lifespan. It's the equipment on each end of the fiber that determines the speed at which it can decode the light. So as you know, over the years, 10 years from now, it'll be the next higher speed. We don't have to replace the fiber. We just replace the equipment on either end. So it's future-proof, if you will. It'll give us a reliable, secure, very high-speed networking and communications between all buildings, and that definitely is desperately needed. But there are many, many things here that are benefits of the iNet, and you know, there's a lot of them we haven't even thought of yet.
Following the presentation by Dan Wood, the council voted unanimously in favor of the project. For our Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobeil.